the late night reviews and the end of another title, but I feel the concept of change is vital, as tonight we try more than just games, as the idea of film does not take much brains. We plug in the cables for the TV it powers, we put down controls that we once held for hours. As I have something special planned for tonight, the horrors of cinema to make you keep on the light. We take out the tape, observing the cover, reading the back to learn and discover. We're using tapes, so you need one of these. Do you want it on your feet or on your fucking knees? Because this is a film to separate men from the boys, as we search through the channels amongst white noise. Be kind, rewind, tracking and remember, when you're playing VHS, you've gotta surrender. So sit back, relax, it's late but it's time. This is Alien 1979. Silently drifting through the eternal night, the Nostromo appears and just into sight. Carrying its cargo with much in store, that's 20 million tons of mineral ore. The colossal machine swims through the deep, with systems shut down and all put to sleep. With claustrophobic walkways that are rusty and bleak, at one point in time at technology's peak. Fuzzy displays and flickers of light, communication and data is all brought to life. Nostromo awakens, but for reason what for, as we drift upon through the proximity doors. 7 dreamers cryogenically stalled, alerted to work as a distress has been called. Rude awakenings and forced into light, regaining memories and brought back to life. We've no time to waste and the promise of money, there are no perks when working for an evil company. A visit to Mother, the supercomputer, Dallas is in command as the ship's ruler. 2.1 terabytes in all of its glory, but we just need to know what is the story. With the crew apprehensive about Mother's new order, some without doubt would like to ignore her. So leaving the cargo safely alone with one final mission before they head home. Burning the thrusters to what waits below, the fear of unknown is all that they know. Pilots, navigators, and engineers all have earned these skilled careers, making their descent to the big rock. Through extreme turbulence, it raises no shock. Touchdown in moments and locked in position with monitor screens that resemble Joy Division. Navigation lights on and out come the feet, but Archeron's surface is anything but neat. His name is Bones, the captain's dog. His love for the crew, his only job. Chain smoking and concerned about who makes the trip along the harsh surface is something they can't skip. Dallas, Kane and Lambert decide to make the walk, with limited oxygen and time on the clock. Venturing through wind and icy showers, but apparently the sun is up in a few hours. But just when hope is nearly abandoned, a discovery is made of an ancient crash landing. A horseshoe-shaped craft held tight in the surface. I've never seen anything like it, Ash says unnervous. On the display, the reception is poor, as they find an entrance through an organic door. Dark, wet and humid, with cocoon-like walls. Was this a mistake? Are we being fools? Reaching an open area that marks another big surprise. The corpse of an alien pilot that's been torn apart inside. Let's get out of here, the first clever response. But we've come this far, we must go on. With eyes to explore, Kane finds a cavern. He rappels down with no sense of hazard. It's like the damn tropics, damp with the heat, while Dallas and Lambert take the back seat. What the hell is this? A subterranean chamber. The smell is reminiscent of a walk amongst nature. And it's full of leathery objects, like eggs or something, a thing that Kane can't resist in go ahead and touch it. On closer inspection, it's sealed and harmless, but now that it's open, maybe we've got answers. Kane unconscious, with it attached to his face. Was this a mistake, or is it fate? Despite the risk, Ash lets them in. By Ripley's command, this was a sin. Into the lab to witness Kane's condition. Isn't it better just to freeze him? Cutting the helmet to reveal the 8th passenger. It doesn't have any trouble breathing in our atmosphere. How do we get it off? How do we get it off? The idea of cutting it makes Ash scoff. An instrument is provided to cut below the knuckle. If it bleeds, we can kill it, but now we're in trouble. It eats through the floor, releasing harmful toxins. If this gets through the hull, we're gonna have problems. From above to below to onto the next deck, cutting through wires and important high tech. 3rd floor, it stops, and a sigh of relief, but removing it from Kane could be added grief. Molecular acid, in a form that's pure. You don't dare kill it, that much for sure.
Dallas? Serious? Ripley, meet me in the infirmary right away.
Relief and fear as the creature is gone, but it's somewhere on the ship, the start of all things wrong. The thing bled acid, what else it can do when it's dead? But thankfully it's left its place, on top of Kane's head. Things are getting back to normal after all the discovering, apart from some horrible dream about smothering. Back to the freezerino, let's eat something first. Their last supper before they head back to Earth. The first thing I do when I get back is to get some decent food. The crowd is family again and brought back in a positive mood. But in the blink of an eye, Kane begins to choke. Could it be a seizure or some kind of stroke? Suddenly something bursts through his chest. The blood, the screaming, as if he's possessed. With seconds to react, Parker confronts, but the scientific interest tells him to settle at once. At its most vulnerable, the creature escapes, right across the table and down through a grate. Once 7 dreamers, now living a nightmare, left in disbelief with a 1,000-yard stare. The hunt begins with homemade devices, scratch-built designs for this very crisis. A motion detector, at least it's meant to be, reading micro changes in air density. Not before long, the machine makes its reading as they gather together and start proceeding. Opening the door, net at the ready, but it's Bones the dog, that overgrown teddy. Brett is forced to find their pet, alone in the dark in a place that's quite wet. An eerie place that's huge in scale, keeping eyes open for puppy dogs' tails. From high above, chains make their tune. Brett makes its way into the next room. An amazing sight that's never been explored, but when you're working in the basement, it's easy to get ignored. A discarded object that lies crumpled below, a skin from a creature that's begun to grow. Moving forward and going deeper, looking for a dog and a potential creeper. A leak from a pipe or condensation, making the most of a bad situation. But movement is heard from the next room, Brett unaware this may be his tomb. Bones is found, but more timid than usual, a happy dog before, which makes Brett confusional. As something lurks behind, larger in size, as it raises its head without any eyes. Bones senses danger and Brett white as a sheet. The drooling mouth opens, exposing razor teeth. In less than a second, both figures gone, with the sound of the chains there up upon. Despite their absence, they heard the event, and know that Brett was taken into a vent. Dallas speaks with Mother in hope for some answers, but in the end it's just down to what are his chances. Our captain bravely makes his way to the vent, a duty as leader, it has to be said. Ripley stands by and gives the orders, while Lambert and Parker navigate the quarters. Searching for readings, using the locator, tough to use when in a giant freighter. Motion trackers are prone to malfunction, but open the hatch to the next junction. A claustrophobic nightmare of cat and mouse, praying Lambert to find its whereabouts. Ripley, close all the doors behind me as Dallas lights up a place that's grimy. As the flamethrower blasts continue to function, incinerating below in the third junction. Placing his hand into something wet, it covers the walls and floors of the vent. Are you sure there's no sign of it? It's gotta be there! Captain Dallas is feeling the scare. Making his way down to the third, it's gotta be here, this is absurd. Oh god, Dallas, it's coming straight towards you! In this situation, there's not much you can do.
Dallas? No.
Take it easy. Dallas?
We found this laying there. No blood, no Dallas, nothing. Parker wants even, and he's tired of running. Ripley speaks with Mother, now Dallas is gone, with no help from her, and Ash is in the wrong. A physical conflict as Ash loses his mind. He knocks Ripley to the ground, his strength above mankind. Call it sickness or a malfunction. A magazine down the throat is a macabre seduction. Parker to the rescue and Ash loses his head, but because he's an android, he's far from dead. Putting him back together, the former science officer, watching every vent and every corridor. It's time for the questions Mother couldn't provide. Ash is our only hope, unless his circuits are fried.
Perfect. Well done. I can't lie to you about your chances, but you have my sympathies.
Parker's had enough. It's time to pull the plug. This could be a waste of fuel, but now he don't look so smug. With only 3 left, the shuttle can be deployed. We could have done it sooner if it wasn't for the android. With Lambert and Parker fetching fuel, something lurks, secreting drool. Lambert frozen, solid with fear, the creature with a grin from ear to ear. It starts with Parker, who tries his luck, but he doesn't stand a chance and is knocked down and struck. Terror and dread as it opens its jaws, the time before death is a horrendous pause. Final words that are hard to hear, get ready to roll, killed by a fang-filled spear. Lambert is next with no remorse as the alien finds its target and heads for its course. Staring face to face with the ultimate killer, tail between the legs, a real chiller. Lambert the most innocent, and her death is off screen, left to the imagination with a ghastly scream. The final girl. Now you're on your own, up against an 8-foot xenomorph drone. Time to blow the ship and read all the warnings. Tap all the keys and release the warheads. Now to try and make it and stay alive. If we can get to the shuttle, we might survive. My favourite scene is nearly here. I'll shut up and disappear.
-3 minutes.
With just minutes remaining and bumps in the road, we've got to get to the shuttle before this explodes. In the cockpit and taking our seat, sweaty and nervous and dying from heat. Monitor screens stating purge. Blade Runner reference? Same universe? Lifeboat is ready, let's hit the throttle. It's quick and nimble for a little shuttle. Time to leave and say goodbye to my 6 companions and leaving one to fry.
15, 12, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
I got you, you son of a bitch, Ripley says exhausted, staring into space, looking really haunted. Now that she's alone, it's time for cryosleep, to shut the ship down and leave it in the deep. One final scare, you thought this was over, a close quarters fight before there is closure. It appears to be sleeping and resting its head. No remorse for the lives of all of its dead. It's even yawning, at least I think it was, with saliva and fangs and tube-like jaws. Ripley now suited and ready to wait. One shot, one chance, and using herself as bait. Reciting a prayer about lucky stars, but she'll leave this ground with battle scars. Completely still, much like a croc, camouflaged and unseen near the airlock. Toxic gas with a control, but it wakes it up and out of its hole. The gas didn't work, and now we're in trouble as we turn our backs and wait for the inevitable. Lurking behind, the giant dark figure, her hand is still on the harpoon's trigger. Turning her head, she can't accept fate, as before it kills, it decides to wait. Ripley goes all out and hits the airlock. The sudden rush of air is a definite shock. Taking the harpoon, she activates and shoots. Watches from inside her bulky spacesuit. With the cable attached, the creature's pulled back. It's still a threat and prone to attack. A final thump and the shuttle burns bright, scorching the creature under hot light. A vacant stare with a pale complexion, but the heroine with a knack for killing perfection. Ripley now lays to rest all that will let go, recording on cassette and audio. 2 dreamers remain, a battle lost and won. The end of a story, but the nightmare has just begun. That, my friends, was Alien, a masterpiece on screen, because once again in space, no one can hear you scream.